Okay, so are you ready to dive in? Today we're tackling strategic planning head on, and trust me, we are way beyond the surface level stuff here.
Yeah, this isn't exactly your intro to strategic planning kind of chat.
Right. We're going deep. You gave us this strategic planning checklist, 140 points. This thing's a beast. We're not skimming it, though. We're refining it, extracting the pure gold.
And it's not just some vague generic advice either. This checklist gets surprisingly granular, which is perfect for a deep dive like this.
Yeah, and right off the bat, it highlights the importance of a strong team. And not just the usual suspects, it stresses the need for diverse perspectives, makes you think. Have you ever been in one of those meetings where everyone agrees way too quickly? Kind of a red flag, right?
Oh yeah, total recipe for disaster. Groupthink can torpedo even the most promising strategy. This checklist, it really hammers home the point that you need those dissenting voices. The folks who will actually challenge the assumptions, poke holes in the ideas. That's how you avoid those costly mistakes down the line.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And this checklist makes it crystal clear. Strategic planning. Total team sport.
Absolutely.
And not just any team. We're talking dream team here.
Exactly. And to build that dream team, they bring up this thing called a RCI matrix.
Oh yeah, the RCI matrix. Love a good matrix.
So picture this. You're in the thick of it, executing your plan, and boom, confusion hits. Who gets to make the final call? Who needs to be in the loop? RCI just clears all that ambiguity right out.
Okay, but for those who might not be familiar, how does this whole RSCI thing actually play out in the real world?
So it all comes down to assigning clear roles right from the get-go. Let's say you're launching a new product. Someone is directly responsible for making it happen. Maybe your product manager, right? But then the CEO, they might be accountable for its success or failure. Then you've got your people who need to be consulted throughout the process, marketing, finance, etc. And finally, those who just need to be kept in the loop, informed about the progress, maybe other departments that might be impacted by this launch.
So it's like having that clear chain of command, but not in that rigid top-down way, right? It's
Yeah.
more about making sure everyone knows their part to play and how it all fits into the bigger picture.
You got it. And
Yeah.
you know what? This actually ties into another crucial point this checklist emphasizes, which is open communication.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's not just about avoiding confusion, although that's definitely a bonus. It's about fostering a culture where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas,
Yeah.
challenging each other constructively and ultimately collectively refining the strategy.
It's like that difference between a choir where everyone's singing a completely different tune versus one where all those voices are harmonizing to create something amazing. And it seems like this big emphasis on preparation, on getting the right people and processes in place, it really is the foundation for everything else in strategic planning, wouldn't you say?
100%. It's setting the stage for success. It really is.
Yeah.
It's like when you're building a house, you wouldn't start slapping up drywall before the foundation's in, right? Before you've got your blueprints figured out. This checklist is all about shoring up those crucial elements.
Okay, so blueprints, got it. That takes us to, I guess, the heart of strategic thinking. A compelling vision and mission. But I've got to say, sometimes these statements can feel a little like corporate jargon. Like, how do you actually make them meaningful, make them something people really connect with?
Totally. They can be so hollow if you just throw a bunch of generic buzzwords in there.
Yeah.
This checklist pushes you way beyond that.
I just said.
Think about your vision statement like your North Star.
Okay.
If your organization was a ship out on the open ocean, what's that distant horizon you're aiming for? That's your vision, right? Bold, ambitious, something truly inspiring.
So not just being the best, but actually defining what that best even means. What kind of impact are you trying to make?
Exactly. And then your mission statement, well, that flows directly from that vision. It's your compass, the thing guiding your day-to-day decisions.
Right.
What are you actually doing today to inch closer to that horizon? How are you making a difference right here, right now?
I like that. So vision as the why, that ultimate destination, and then mission as the how, the path you're carving out to get there. But it's not just this internal reflection, right? We've got to scope out the playing field too, which is where the good old SWOT analysis comes in.
Yeah, SWOT analysis. It's a classic for a reason, right?
It is.
But here's the catch. Most people tend to get hung up on the strengths and opportunities, the S&O. This checklist, though, it reminds us to get real, like brutally honest about our weaknesses and those threats that are lurking out there.
Because trying to ignore them won't magically make them disappear. In fact, usually those hidden weaknesses are the things that can really trip you up if you're not prepared.
Right. Think about a company that's killer at innovation.
Yeah.
Always pumping out these cool new products. That's a definite strength. But let's say their customer service is atrocious.
Oh,
Major weakness. A competitor can swoop in and steal their market share just by treating their customers better.
brutal, but true. It's like that saying, the enemy of good is good enough. So we've looked internally at our strengths and weaknesses, but this checklist takes it a step further with the PESTLE analysis. What's the deal with that framework? How does that help us make smarter decisions?
So PESTLE, that's all about zooming out.
Okay.
We're talking about getting a panoramic view and examining all those external factors that could impact the strategy. And we're talking political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors.
A lot to keep track of.
All of them.
Yeah.
Think of it like checking the weather forecast before you head out on a road trip.
Okay, so like if there's a hurricane, I might want to reconsider my travel plans.
Exactly.
Right.
So give me an example. How could a company really use PESTLE to their advantage?
Good question.
Let's say you're a car manufacturer. Okay. A PESTLE analysis might reveal this growing social trend towards being eco-conscious. Stricter environmental regulations, stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, ignoring these trends could be detrimental, right? But if you catch them early, you can invest in electric vehicle technology. Position yourself as a leader in a changing market.
So it's not just about reacting to the change after the fact. It's about anticipating it, getting ahead of it, adapting the strategy proactively.
100%.
Like the difference between getting caught in a riptide versus riding the wave all the way in.
There you go. PESTLE lets you anticipate those riptides and then navigate them strategically. And that's the beauty of this checklist. It doesn't just give you the tools to plan your route. It helps you spot those potential roadblocks and swerve around them.
So we've got our compass, we've scanned the horizon for storms, now it's time to actually chart the course, right? And I see this checklist, it's a big fan of SMART goals.
As it should be. Think of SMART goals like, I don't know, the building blocks of your whole strategic plan.
Yep.
It's easy to just say, yeah, we want to grow.
Right.
But SMART goals, they force you to dig deeper. Answer those W questions. What does growth actually look like for you? How are you going to measure that? By when?
Yeah, it's like the difference between saying, I want to get healthier and saying, I'm going to run a 5K in 3 months.
Exactly.
One is vague, easily forgotten. The other's a clear target.
Right. And this checklist, it smartly stresses that those goals, those targets, they need to directly connect back to your overall vision and mission.
Of course. Yeah.
Otherwise, you risk running a really efficient race in the completely wrong direction.
It's like climbing the ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall.
Right.
All that effort for nothing. But speaking of different directions, this checklist does not skimp on the strategic frameworks.
Not at all.
It throws the whole buffet at us. We've got McKinsey 7S, 3 horizons of growth, value disciplines, even a nod to digital transformation, business continuity. Where do we even start? How do we pick the right tools from this strategic toolbox?
Don't get overwhelmed by the options.
Easy for you to say.
Think of it like this. You wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a screw.
Right.
Each framework offers a unique perspective on your organization, your challenges. Take the 3 horizons of growth, for instance. Imagine you're so laser-focused on optimizing your existing business, that's Horizon 1, but you're neglecting to explore those new opportunities.
Horizon 2.
Exactly. Or investing in those potential game changers, Horizon 3.
Right.
That is a recipe for stagnation.
So it's about balance, right? Exploiting those current strengths while you're also exploring those new avenues for growth and innovation. Innovate or die, as they say. But even with the most brilliant strategy, the perfect framework, execution is what matters, right? That's where I think a lot of organizations fall short.
Oh, absolutely. A plan that just sits on a shelf, just a document. This checklist really drives home the importance of breaking those strategies down.
Okay.
Bite-sized, actionable steps. Think of it like a recipe. You've got your ingredients, you've got your tools. Now you need those crystal clear instructions to make the meal.
Love a good cooking analogy.
Right.
So no more vague statements like, we need to improve customer satisfaction. We need specifics.
Exactly.
What does improve even mean? What are the actions? Who's responsible? What's the timeline? It's about baking that accountability right into the process.
100%. And this is where that RCI matrix we talked about earlier, it comes full circle, ensures everyone's crystal clear on their role in making those actions a reality.
But even with the most meticulous plan, we can't predict everything, right? I mean, the world throws curveballs, things change constantly. How does this checklist account for that whole life happens factor?
That's where monitoring and evaluation come in. This checklist, it reminds us that strategic planning, it's not a one and done deal. It's got to be iterative.
Okay.
Are those SMART goals we set still relevant? Are we moving in the right direction?
Good questions.
If not, course correction time.
So it's like having that navigation system that's constantly recalculating based on traffic, road closures, whatever.
So
You'll hit detours, unexpected obstacles, but if you're paying attention, adjusting course, you'll get where you need to go.
Exactly. And just like that navigation system needs feedback, hey, how is this route? Your strategic plan needs a feedback loop. Talk to the team, talk to your customers, talk to stakeholders. What's working? What needs work? Use that to fine-tune your approach.
So be adaptable, learn and evolve. Don't be afraid to say, this isn't working, let's switch gears.
Exactly. And then finally, after all that hard work, don't forget to share your wins. Communicate those wins clearly, celebrate the achievements, and document that whole journey. Not only does it keep everyone aligned and motivated, but you're creating this super valuable knowledge base for the future.
Because a strategic plan just gathering dust on a shelf isn't doing anyone any good. It's about bringing it to life, turning those carefully crafted strategies into results, right? And honestly, I think that's the biggest takeaway here. You've given us a framework for thinking strategically, a toolbox full of frameworks to tackle specific challenges, but maybe most importantly, a reminder that strategic planning, it's not a static document, it's a journey, right?
Well said. And it's a journey of continuous learning, adaptation, and growth. one that needs a clear vision and the flexibility to navigate all those inevitable twists and turns along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. A huge thank you to our expert for walking us through all of this today. For everyone listening, make sure to check out the show notes for links to the checklist and all the other resources we talked about. And as always, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.